All praise is due to Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, the one in whom we seek His guidance and we seek refuge from our evil actions and from the evil within ourselves. And whomever Allah has guided, no one could mislead. And whomever Allah has led astray, no one can guide. And I bear witness and testify that there is none worthy of worship except Allah, and that Prophet Muhammad is His servant and messenger. My dearly respected brothers and sisters, as you have noticed, that as time continues to move past us, the practice of Islam becomes more and more strange. The application of teachings of Islam become more and more neglected. And for those who practice what they believe, you find that they are casted out more and more. As you see the words and you hear the words of the Prophet ﷺ, in which he says that the bonds of Islam shall be undone one by one. Every time one bond is undone, the people grasp on to the next one. The first one to be left, or the first one to be undone, is following the Islamic legislation, Islamic rule. And the last one to be undone is prayer. It is so rare to find a country, an Islamic country, that says we rule by Islamic law. And again, you see now that the people themselves are practicing less and less in their religion, to the point that they don't pray anymore. It's becoming more of a norm. How can you feel so safe and so secure when you do not pray? Do you know who created you? Do you know where you are going? Do you know where you will end up? The reality, my brothers and sisters, is that Allah allows people to do wrong. And He knows they are wrong. Just as the Prophet ﷺ, he said, nobody is more patient from annoyance and harassment than Allah, as it is found in Bukhari and Muslim. He said, no one is more patient than Allah in regards to adha, harassment and being wronged. For He has been hearing for years that people says He has a son, and He continues to give them good health and give them sustenance. He's Arhamur Rahimeen. He's the most merciful. But this is in dunya. What happens when you are in your grave and you go to the akhirah? What happens as a result over there? Allah is just. He rewards those who do good, and He punishes those who do wrong. So there you will meet the justice of Allah, not the mercy of Allah for some. So when you take it, there is no problem for you to leave the teachings of Islam, your prayer, your fasting, your pilgrimage, your zakah, all sorts of things. When you say that it's so easy, it is for you, these teachings, to be safe from the punishment of Allah. Why do you feel like Allah is not planning against you? Allah plans against those, or plots against those who are in the wrong. For He says in Surah Al-A'raf, He said, did the people of the cities or did the people of the towns think that they are safe? Safe from what? That the punishment of Allah shall come to them at night while they sleep, in the most sensitive of places, in your most vulnerable of areas when you are asleep. Maybe Allah has plotted that death or harm should come to you while you are in that vulnerable place. And the ayah continues, He said, or did the people of the towns or the cities think that they are safe from the punishment or from the plotting of Allah in the early morning when they are out playing. Imagine that. If you live your life day after day in disobedience, day after day in defiance, and you're just out having a good time thinking that there's no harm gonna befall you, Allah has made it apparent that He can take you when you are at home asleep. He can make punishment come to you when you're out playing. It does not matter. Your prayers, wallahi, you should look forward to them, because inside the prayer is rahmah and maghfirah. That's what's there. Inside your prayer, when dhuhr comes by and you prayed your dhuhr, you should know that that time where you prayed is filled with mercy and forgiveness. And then when you spend your time from dhuhr and asr, maybe doing that which Allah is not pleased with, look forward to when the time of asr comes. Because maybe at the time of asr again, when you are praying, it is mercy and forgiveness again. Do you see how that works, my brothers and sisters? You should not look at the salah as it is something that you have to get out of the way, like a chore. But it is something that you should look forward to. Another matter. We've gotten so used to not practicing our religion that we don't even notice sometimes when we're doing something wrong. Take, for example, the end of this year, the Gregorian calendar. Many people on the beginning of the New Year's will congratulate one another and say, Happy New Year. And they'll see this as that there's nothing wrong with that. But when you continuously identify yourself, when you continuously identify yourself with practices that are non-Islamic, guess what you end up doing? You end up behaving like a non-Muslim. If you were to realize that your attachment is with the Hijri calendar, and to know that the Hijri calendar was based off of when the Prophet ﷺ fled, he and his people, the believers, from Mecca to Medina. They were being persecuted and harmed. Many scholars said that it was the most suiting thing to decide between the companions, as they decided, let's set the date from when he made hijrah, and not set the date from when he was born, and not set the date from when he received revelation, nor when he died. But rather they said when he made hijrah, because that is the time where Muslims were united finally. You had them scattered, some in Abyssinia, some were scattered in different parts of Mecca, in different parts of the Arabian Peninsula. But when the hijrah came, the Muslims came back and they united and they gathered together. He said that was the first time that happened. So it is only suitable that we go from this time. And that's why we have the Hijri calendar. When you identify yourself with that now, we're in Rabi' al-Thani. We're in the 4th month as Muslims. And you find again, many of our children, when you ask them how many months does the Islamic calendar have, they don't know. They don't know that even Ramadan is the name of a month. They think that's just what we're doing, we're fasting. Why didn't we teach them? Because they can say January to December like nothing. Front to back, back to front. You tell them what month is 9, what month is 7. They can point them out easy. Islamic calendar. We have to identify. When we continue to live in a way where we're not strengthening our Islamic personality and our iman, we lose it, wallah. To the extent to where many holidays come by. And holidays means two things. In olden English, it used to mean holy days. Sometimes in modern terms, it means a time of break or the time of being away from school or work. You say these are the holidays like summer break. But when you start saying happy holidays during winter time, and in it is Hanukkah, and in it is Christmas, do you identify with that? No, not as a Muslim. Even though we believe in Isa, and we believe in his prophethood, and we believe he is from one of the most honorable messengers. But we do not believe in his divinity. We do not believe he's the Son of God. And therefore, that is the reason why we cannot wish people well on things like Christmas. Because we know that day to not be true. So how can we wish someone well? On any other day, you can say, I hope you have a happy day. I hope you have a good day. I don't wish harm for you. But when it comes to things that are specific religious, you have to have some kind of boundary. But matters of this life, you can do that. You can say, I hope you have a good holiday. Meaning like summer break. But not something in which there is a day which they glorify or praise, like Easter. Spring break comes up and Easter is in there. And that has a direct link with what? With the supposed resurrection of Isa. So my brothers and sisters, we really need to understand how to identify and how to recognize what is wrong and how to recognize what is right. But we need to invite and teach others with hikmah, with wisdom. So don't be hasty when somebody tells you something like Merry Christmas. You can respond back to him in a way that is going to be helpful for you to clarify that you don't celebrate Christmas and that you don't believe in this day. You just have to use the right words. But you should not just remain quiet and acknowledge it, because what happens next year? He's going to keep saying it to you. And he's never going to know what you are upon and what you're not upon. That's why we say there has to be some things where we recognize this is part of Islam and that's not part of Islam. The Prophet ﷺ, or it was said about Musa ﷺ, and this is athar, is a hadith that does not have a chain of narrators that is authentic. So the hadith is not authentic, but it is found in the books of what is known as heart warmers, or books to increase iman. And what it says in there, the meaning of that hadith is true, but the hadith itself is not true. It was said that Musa alayhi salam says to Allah, "O Allah, prevent the tongues of people from saying things about me that are not true." And it was said that Allah replies, "O Musa, this is something that I did not grant for myself, so how can I grant it to you?" Now, like I said, this hadith is athar, is non-authentic. But the meaning of it is true. If you are worried when you pray that somebody's going to say something about you, so therefore you don't pray, and you wish that if people didn't say anything, I will pray. That's never going to happen, because first and foremost, Allah did not even write this for Himself. And that's what you have from the hadith that we mentioned at the beginning, that nobody is more patient than Allah. Because people continuously say things about Him, and He continues to give, continues to grant them health, continues to give them sustenance. So how about you? When you say, "Oh, I cannot deal in interest, I cannot sell alcohol, I cannot do this or that," if you are afraid of what that person might say to you, and therefore that makes you stop doing it, unless some direct harm is going to come to you. Not that that person will be upset with you, but meaning that person is going to physically harm you. In this specific scenario, you may be able to stay quiet. But in other times, their lack of approval means nothing. And it's not going to affect your relationship with them. You're still going to treat them the same if you don't agree. Correct? If you don't celebrate the same celebrations, you're going to treat them the same. But when you start celebrating the same celebrations that are not yours, what happens as a result? Then you start to lose your Islam, just like that hadith that said that the bonds of Islam will become undone one by one. And this is what we notice is happening. May Allah make us from those that hold fast to the bonds of Islam. May He make us from those that seek His guidance. Ameen. May He make us from those that strive for the akhirah. Ameen. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى بمنه وكرمه أن يحبب إلينا وإليكم الإيمان وأن يزينه في قلوبنا ويكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا إلا يسرتها يا رب العالمين. اللهم أعن إخواننا المستضعفين في كل مكان، كن عونا لهم ونصيرا لهم، واغفر لهم وارحمهم وتب عليهم إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلوا وسلموا على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. وأقم الصلاة.